Hi guys, give me a few seconds. I'm gonna do the audio thingy on my laptop and then we can get started, okay? Hold on. And yep. What's up everyone? Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. I am the Marketing Nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. In today's episode of Ask TMN, we're gonna be talking about how do you do a year-end review for your business. So the way that I've structured this podeo is the first part, we're going to get into what are some of the reasons why you should be doing a year-end review for your business, even if you are a one-person team right now. And then the second part, we're going to get into 6 different steps that I do have for you when it comes to doing a year-end review for your business. Now, if you are new to my YouTube channel, first off, hi there. Second, Ask TMN is a series where I answer questions that solopreneurs usually have about marketing or business. All right, so if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, do hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get into the first part of this podeo, which is reasons why it is important for you to do a year-end review for your business, even if you are a one-person team. Now, the first point that I do have for you when it comes to reasons why it's important is it really helps to understand where you are at, especially when you are a one-person team. Sometimes you can get swept up with what's going on in the entire year, and at the end of the year, it might be hard for you to figure out where exactly you stand in relation to the past years that you've been operating, as well as where you stand with respect to the goals that you had for that particular year. So year-end review usually helps you analyze previous year's data as well as the current year's data, kind of figure out where the correlation is, and it also helps you to understand where you are at right now so that you can, understand the future steps that you wish to take for your business. The second is, of course, when you started out the year, you would have had certain business strategies, certain marketing strategies, certain sales strategies that you would have put in place, right? So what essentially a year-end review helps you do is analyze if those strategies are actually working out for you and if there is any need on your end for you to tweak it or maybe improvise on it. So that's also another reason why it's important to do a year-end review, because when you don't keep in touch with the strategy that you're putting, sometimes you can go completely off base and you might not even recognize it. So having these checks, and honestly, I would recommend having these checks probably more frequently than a year end, but at the end of the year, it helps to do an overall check of the strategies that are in place. All right, and not just that, especially when it comes to strategy, a lot of it has to be tweaked from time to time. That is just how it is. You can't just put a strategy. You have to see what's going on with it, what is the impact of it, and kind of pivot a little bit as you go. And so, especially when it comes to strategies, and one of the most common mistakes that I do see is people implement the strategy and then they just let it go. But the point of that strategy is you need to have KPIs that go along with it. And as and when the indicators are telling you, okay, well, maybe this part needs to be tweaked or this part's not working, you've got to make those adjustments as you go along as well. So, having that faith in a strategy is good, but at the same time, understanding that a strategy is all about pivoting, that also is one of the key things about the entrepreneurial journey. All right. So that is the second point that I do have for you. The third is, of course, when it comes to setting goals for the year or the quarter, oftentimes it might not be very grounded. And so when you do a year-end review, what you're essentially doing is you are creating that realistic approach to goal setting, because you are understanding where exactly you are at and you are understanding the progress that you have made year on year, what exactly has been happening in the 12 months that has passed. And when you have data like that, it just helps you understand as well as forecast things related to your business, whether it is your financial projections or even the goals that you have, the marketing campaigns that you set, the sales goals that you have at the end of the next year, so on and so forth. And so when there is data from the current year as well as the previous year, that just helps you set realistic goals. You're not just pulling numbers out of the air, you're actually having enough data for you to say, okay, well, this would be a good goal, this would be a better goal, this would be the best goal. But beyond that, I don't think it's possible given the data that I've collected, and it's just not realistic to plan beyond that, so on and so forth. So in my experience, especially when it comes to goal setting, having that year-end review, having collected the data all throughout the year and analyzing that data has often helped me in setting pretty realistic goals for myself for the coming year. All right. Now, the fourth thing is, especially when it comes to year-end review, you're not just reviewing your financial goals or your marketing goals or your sales goals. You're also evaluating your customer/client relationship that's going on at that point in time. And so when you are reviewing that, it just helps you understand where your customers/clients are at and how you can serve them better. So that also, I believe, to be a benefit when it comes to year-end review, because, you've got to keep your customer happy, you've got to keep your client happy. And at the end of the day, you are there because there is some need of theirs that you are fulfilling. And the better you can do that, the more the brand loyalty builds, and that's what we're looking for, right? So that too is also going to be part of your year-end review, and that's also going to be beneficial for you because the more you can understand your customers' needs, you can also tweak your products, tweak your messaging, tweak the way that your business image is to your clients or customers. It just helps you pivot that way in a way, I guess, that aligns with your client/customer better. Okay? And then, of course, the last point that I do have for you is when you are doing a year-end review, you are not only looking at the goals that you're setting, you're also looking at how much you have progressed individually as well as on a professional level also. So in other words, I guess I would say, especially when it comes to the entrepreneurial journey, a huge part of it is our personal and professional development. It's only when we progress that the business also progresses, right? The business is hugely dependent on us. And so when you do a year-end review, you're essentially putting that evaluation of your personal development as well as your professional development. And the more you can look into that, the more you can be cognizant of that, as well as the progress that you're making, what you have lacked, or the areas that you need improvement in, so on and so forth. The more you can be self-aware about this aspect, again, the more it's going to help your business because, like I said, you as a person, like your personal and your professional development is very, very integral to how your business functions. That's just a relationship, right? So having all of this understanding is what is important when it comes to year-end review. So it's not just about talking about the goals that you've hit or just reviewing whatever it is that the numerics, I guess I would say. No, it's not just that. There's a lot that goes into it, and we are going to get into it, okay? So there are about 6 steps that I do have for you, and we're gonna get into it. So the first is, of course, you would have expected this, evaluating your financial data. Analyze your revenue streams, figure out what's done well, what's not done well. If it's done well, figure out why it's done well. That's very, very important. Sometimes you may not, while it's working well during the course of the year, you may not have recognized the reason why it is working. And oftentimes, it might keep working up until a certain point, and you may actually not know why it's working or what exactly is the contributing factor to that success. And so understanding what exactly contributed to a revenue stream performing well for that particular year just helps you understand that, all right, for the next year, I've got to continue doing this. I shouldn't, by mistake, remove this equation or this factor from the equation, and so on and so forth. So for me, understanding why a revenue stream is doing well is very important. And it's not just about, there is this process and that's why my revenue stream is working well. No, it goes a lot deeper than that. It's also about understanding the mindset of your customer as well as your client at that point in time and how it is contributing to that particular revenue stream doing well. It's also about what professional, personal development that you've done that is contributing to that revenue stream doing well. And then, of course, you have your key performance indicators that are telling you why exactly it is doing well. And analyzing that data, you got to take a little bit of time for it as well. And of course, we go on to the next part, which is revenue streams that are not doing very well. So understanding why it's not happening, what you could possibly tweak for the next year, how much time can you allocate for that, or whether it is important for you to continue into the next year, or do you want to axe it? All of these decisions basically make it during the year-end review, all right? Another thing that it's important to look at when you are viewing your financial data is your expenses. Trying to see if all of the expenses that you did make this year, were they absolutely necessary, or could you have done away with a few of them? Because sometimes when you are in that panic state of having to spend money, like possibly at that moment in time you feel it is necessary for you to spend that money, and then later on you realize maybe you should not have made that decision in a haste, or you should not have been a little bit panicked about that decision, so on and so forth. There's so many things that go into decision making, especially when it comes to expenses, right? And so, just understanding that. I remember the reason why I say this is because I say this out of experience. I remember in my first year of my entrepreneurial journey, I made, it was so heavy on my pocket, but I made an impulsive decision and it costed me a lot. But at that point of making that decision, of making that purchase, I thought it was absolutely necessary for my business. And yes, I kind of was panicked and and frankly was a bit influenced by this social media influencer that I was following, and it was only after I made the purchase that I realized what a mistake that I had made. And so these little things do happen from time to time, right? So just understanding whether or not the expenses were necessary, just going through the list of expenses that you do have, just identifying, okay, was this absolutely necessary? If I find myself in a situation like that in the next year, what decision would I have to make, or what other factors did I not consider this time that I should consider for the future, so on and so forth. So basically, when it comes to a year-end review, you are taking a look at every single aspect, and you're figuring out things that are working, and if they're working, why are they working, how you can continue working it that well, and if it's not working, why isn't it working, is it something that you need to tweak, and what can you do to improve. So basically the agenda of a year-end review is just that, right? So when it comes to expenses, identifying what was absolutely needed and what you can continue for the next year, what needs to be axed for that particular year. Yeah, that also comes under the first part, which is evaluating your financial data. And then, of course, changes in costs. Maybe your material cost has increased, or maybe, like I said, maybe it costs you a little bit more for transportation or shipping, so on and so forth. So factoring all of that year-on-year increase in costs, and factoring that into your prices, factoring that into the I said prices. Factoring that into the prices of your products, your services is also important. Then, of course, if you have any loans that you've taken on, you might want to check into that, see where you are at, maybe create a new plan for the next year after evaluating where you are at, having a more realistic footing on your exact financial status, so on and so forth. And of course, understanding how much you have grown in the past year, or if there's been a loss in that year, then understanding which revenue stream was not working, which revenue stream was working, and how you can build on that data is very, very key for this particular step. So that's step one for you, analyzing your financial data. Now we have step two, where you review your strategies. It could be any and all strategies that you have implemented for that given year. It could be your marketing strategy, your business strategy, your sales strategy, what I personally do at this point is I evaluate the short-term goals that I had for each of these different areas. I also evaluate the long-term goals. I take a stand like, okay, this is where I'm at with respect to this short-term goal. This is where I'm at with respect to this long-term goal. And then I re-strategize from where I am at, because sometimes you might think that, oh, 6 months down the line I'm going to be in a different place, but 6 months down the line maybe you aren't, and you are at another place, or there are new factors for you to consider, so on and so forth. And so oftentimes, because of that tweak in either where you are at or your surroundings at that point in time, your strategies also need a little bit of fixing. So understanding where your strategies have been implemented, as well as how much of a result they have brought you and where you are at, just analyzing that, all of that in with respect to your strategies is also one more really good way for you to tweak your strategies, for you to figure out which direction you want to go for the next year. All right. And so for me, one thing that I like to do is I like to see what's lacking. Maybe I didn't have enough financial resources to implement one part of the strategy. And so it's like figuring out, okay, well, can I save up enough money for that for the next year, so on and so forth. I'll give you an example. So for me, with respect to my book, I knew right from year one of my entrepreneurial journey that I was going to write a book. But I knew that, writing a book, there is a bit of investment on your end as well as an author. And so for me, I had planned and I saved up for 2 years, and then I was able to publish my book in my third year. But all of that took planning, and all of that was based on strategy that I had to keep on pivoting and figuring out where I am at. And sometimes, of course, there would be an unexpected expense and I would have to lose the little bit of money that I had saved up, so on and so forth. And consistently evaluating where I am at with respect to the strategy that I'd put in place, that was very, very key for me to be able to save up enough money to publish my first book, 0 to 4 Figures. So, if there's some goal that you wish to hit, it could be anything, okay? It could be related to your marketing business, or even your sales goals for that matter. Understanding where you are at, understanding what's lacking, understanding how to tweak wherever you are at. All of that is part of the process in your year-end strategy. And another thing is, if you find that one of your campaigns is going really, really well, like you're hitting success, it's very, very important to understand what's working and how do you continue that success. How do you sustain that success? That's very, very important. And, understanding what are the factors that are contributing to that success is also very, very important, because at any given moment, given how volatile every market is for that matter, especially in the entrepreneurial world, it is, we're dependent on a lot of things working out, for us to sustain. And so, especially in the entrepreneurial world, it helps to understand what factors are contributing to your success, because at any given moment, if that factor is gone, you've got to be proactive and step in and figure out how to pivot the strategy so that it can rely lesser on the factor that it was depending on, so on and so forth. And that's happened with me, with my business as well. So that's also something that I have learned to be cognizant about. Like, even if it is successful, don't just leave it be. You've got to also understand, why is it successful? Get deeper into what is the reason and the cause and the factors behind the success. All right. So that is what you would do for the second part, which is reviewing your strategies. And of course, what are the possible tweaks that you want to make for the next year? That's also important for you to analyze. Do you want to continue as it is? Or do you find that maybe one area you can improve and you just keep pivoting? Like I told you before, I don't think that strategies are just one straight line. I think there are many, many different points of pivoting, and you just have to keep pivoting. That is the point of a strategy. And for that pivot, you need to keep evaluating it from time to time, okay? So then we get into the third thing that you would review at a year-end review for your business, and that is your client relationships. Like I mentioned way in the beginning of this podeo, understanding what makes your audience tick. Understand, what exactly are they looking for? How Can you fulfill their needs a little bit better? What different things are they expecting from you as a business, and how can you fulfill that? And what is your, as an extension of that, what is your competition doing that you are not, that you can include in the services that you offer? What is your competition not offering, but your audience is looking for, that you can provide as well? Even that's also very, very important. So client relationships, I tend to think of it as a huge bubble on its own, like understanding where you can improve. There's always something to improve. So in this area, you could even send out year-end reviews for your clients to rank you, ask different questions, try to understand where they are at. Yeah, that also would be helpful for you. You can have one-on-one discussions with your clients, with your customers as well. Maybe you can offer them some incentive to fill out a survey. Even that also works. But it's important to understand where they are at and how you can fulfill their needs better for the next year. Because like I said, the point of a business is, the very, very base of it is client satisfaction, And so without that, I don't see the point of the business, right? So understanding that, making sure that your clients, your customers, existing as well as prospective, are going to be happy, are satisfied with the service, or that their needs are met to an extent. Yeah, that's also very, very important. And it doesn't have to be tangible things like, maybe a different service that you offer, or a different part of your product that you want to improve, so on and so forth. It doesn't always have to be tangible things. It can even be intangible things, where better customer service or more one-on-one with your clients when it comes to handling their frequently asked questions, so on and so forth. So different ways. Maybe you can even create YouTube videos for them, answering some of their questions, so on and so forth. Basically, how can you make the experience better? And it doesn't always have to be tangible things. It can also be intangible things. It could also be, that onboarding that you can have for your clients or your customers about how to use the product properly, how to use the service properly in a way that benefits them the most, so on and so forth. So even that, just giving them better instructions, giving them an easier route when it comes to handling your products and services, yeah, even that could count in your review as well. When it comes to reviewing your when it comes to reviewing your client relationships. Yeah, that was a little bit of a tongue twister there for me. All right, so that would be number 3 for you, client relationships. Then we come on to the 4th one, where it is efficiency evaluations, where your systems, your processes, everything, is it working okay? If it's not working okay, then what's going wrong? How can you tweak it? How can you make it better? How can you improve? If it's going well, there's always, area for improvement. So how can you make it better? How can you make it more systematic? And how can you make it more, less time consuming and more productive? Yeah, that's how I would want to put that. So when it comes to evaluating efficiency, it's not just about the processes and systems. Yes, it's also about how can you reduce your time load? How can you be more productive? How can you make the entire system and process more efficient in terms of lesser mental load for your client, your customers, so on and so forth. So all of that also comes under efficiency. All right, hold on, we are running out of camera space on my camera, and then I'll just come back in just a second. All right, we are back. And so we were talking about efficiency evaluation, where it's not just about, whether the systems and processes are running okay. You've also got to think about time management, about productivity, about the return on investment that you're getting in. And it doesn't just have to be the monetary aspect of it. If you're putting in way too much time into something and it's not really bringing you the results that you're looking for, then all of this comes under year-end review, where you take a look, I'm putting in so much time for this, but I'm not really getting the results that I'm looking for, and it doesn't seem worth it for me. So do I wish to continue this, or do I want to tweak my efforts? Is there another way that I can do this where my time is not going to be so consumed by it, Or is there another way that I can make the entire process a little bit more productive, get the output a little bit more for the time that I'm putting in, so on and so forth. So all of this would come under your efficiency evaluation and management, okay? Now, that was the fourth point that I do have for you. The fifth one is, as we talked about, it's important because you and your business, you're tied together. You're directly related to each other. You are your business and your business is you, right? And so when it comes to that, assessing your personal and professional development over the course of that particular year is very, very important. It's important to take a hard look at where you are at. What are the areas of improvement? Maybe there is some skill that you need to brush up or get better at so that you can manage your business better, so on and so forth. Like I always say this, the entrepreneurship journey is fundamentally about knowing who you are and constantly evolving. Like this journey really, really is heavily dependent on how comfortable you are in evolving yourself, because that is the basis of this journey, and your business is very, very much tied to who you are, to how self-aware you are. This journey just makes you that way. I am yet to meet an entrepreneur who is not self-aware. Like every single entrepreneur who I've ever met, they are so self-aware. And the reason for that is because this journey just makes you that way. And so even if you are self-aware, it helps to have that little bit of time for you to review what exactly has been going on with you on a personal front, on a professional front, and how you can basically improve those sections for the next year. Which parts of your life, I guess, professional as well as personal, do you want to improve? Because all of it has a direct impact on the business, whether you like it or not, right? So understanding that you are the biggest foundation, like you are the, I guess, thickest, I don't know how to put it, but you are basically the foundation for your business. Yeah, let's just go with that. Okay, and so understanding that is very, very key, especially when it comes to running your own business. And if you are a one-person team, yeah, your entire business is built on you showing up, and you've got to show up in a way where you are solid in yourself today, but at the same time you are making room for that growth, for that improvement, for that evolution of yourself as well. So understanding where you are at, of course feeling proud of that, that's very important, but also understanding, all right, well, I could improve in this, or these are the areas that I'm lacking a bit and I need a bit of help. Understanding that you need help and getting help for that, scheduling out time for that help, everything, all of that comes under your year-end review. So, some questions that you can ask yourself at this point is, all right, well, what skills of mine does my business need, and do I have them? If I don't have them, then where can I get those skills? Where can I reach out to get help for those skills? And which parts of me have I been, which parts of my personal development is important for my business, and how can I keep improving on that? Whether it's positive mindset or it's success mindset, growth mindset, money mindset, all of these things contribute to the health of your business as well. So, just constantly evaluating yourself, as well as having that review at the end of the year and scheduling out time. That's important. Scheduling out time in the following year for you to say, all right, well, this is something that I need to improve on. I'm going to maybe do 15 minutes of reading every day on this particular topic because I really want to improve my knowledge on that. I want to improve my skill on that, so on and so forth. Or during the months of Feb to maybe May, it's off season for my business, so I want to take up a course on accounting or bookkeeping, so on and so forth. There are different ways that you can go about this. These are just examples. So making sure that you're scheduling out time for your improvement, whether it is personal development as well as professional development, is very important. It is part of the review. So it's not just review, it's also about scheduling it out for the next year as well. All right. So it's kind of like giving actionable steps to yourself so that you can improve on your personal and professional development. And as a result of that, give your business a much more stable foundation to keep building itself. Yes, I really hope that sentence structure was okay, but if it's not, we're just gonna move on. We're just gonna, just move on with this, okay? So that was the fifth one that I do have for you. And then of course we have the sixth one, which I believe is also very, very important and is part of the mix, and that is accomplishments and the challenges that you've had in the year. So understanding what you've accomplished in that particular year is very, very important. Oftentimes I feel like we keep going on this hamster wheel that we don't stop to think, okay, well, what exactly have I accomplished? And for me, something that's happened to me in the past is I've gone on the hamster wheel not really acknowledging my accomplishments, and at some point, I just kept feeling like my business was very stagnant, even though there were significant accomplishments that had happened in the time frame that had passed, but I just didn't recognize them, or I didn't take the time to acknowledge. So something that I believe to be very, very important for your year-end review is just taking the time to view the accomplishments that you've made in that particular year. And it's not just, monetary accomplishments. No, even if, for example, for me, the example that I gave you, that expense that was very impulsive, maybe the next year I didn't make an impulsive decision. That itself is an accomplishment. So find every single thing that could categorize as an accomplishment and truly be grateful for it, truly feel happy and proud of it. It's very, very important for you to recognize your wins. And, I think that is what will motivate you. That is what will continue to keep you going, especially on this journey, because there are just that many lows. And when there are so many lows, you've got to hang on to the glimpses of highs that you get to sustain yourself through the lows. Yeah, I guess that's how I would put that. And that's something that I've also, of course, learned over time to be intentional about. So understanding your accomplishments, recognizing it, feeling proud of it, taking the time to celebrate it as well, regardless of whether it was a year of wins or losses, or it was just not really the best year for you financially, so on and so forth. Like, forget the numerics for 1 second. Even whatever you've achieved in terms of your personal development, in terms of your professional development, all of those are achievements as well. So don't just be hyper-focused. I'm a solopreneur myself. I know how easy it can be to just focus on, okay, well, this is the revenue I made this year, and maybe it's not doing so good, or maybe it wasn't what I expected, and to feel dejected about it. That's not the only metric in your business. There are other metrics to define success, and you've got to find those, you've got to recognize those, and you've got to celebrate those as well. Yes, this year maybe it didn't turn out the way that you expected it to, but there are other areas that exceeded your expectations, that met your expectations. Those need to be celebrated. And of course, there's always going to be the next year where you build on whatever it is that you could not achieve this year, so on and so forth. But at the moment, today, you are here. Today, you have to celebrate where you are at. And so I believe that comes under your year-end review as well. And then we talk about, the challenges that you faced in that particular year. Maybe there was a particular really tough problem that you solved. So how did you overcome it? What was your thought process at the time? If you had to redo that scenario, what would you do differently? And, even just feeling good that there was this challenge and you accomplished it, or you overcame it, even that is okay. I think that's also part of the year review. Another thing is maybe there's a challenge that's ongoing and you're unable to think about how to figure it out, or there's something blocking you in terms of, the strategy part of it, or solving it, so on and so forth. Just even reviewing that and keeping it as, okay, well, this is something that I need to look into deeper in 2024 or the next year, whichever year you're stepping into. All of that, ongoing challenges, like how are you planning to tackle it in the next year? How did you tackle? What were some of the strategies that you used this year? Maybe it didn't work out, but still, it's important to write all those down and try to see how you are going to go about it for the next year. So these are 6 different things that I would personally do at a year-end review. And I'm just going to reiterate all the points just as a recap for you, just, so that you have it all in one place. The first point that we talked about was evaluating your financial data, analyzing your revenue streams, expenses, costs, loans, and your growth. see what's done well, what's not done well. If it's done well, why? What are the factors contributing to it doing well? And if it's not done well, then again, why is it not doing well? What can you do differently for the coming year? So on. What are the tweaks that you can make? So on and so forth. Then, of course, reviewing the strategies, understanding your marketing, business, and sales strategies, figuring out the short-term and long-term goals, whether you hit them, whether you did not hit them, what needs to be tweaked in your current strategies, how can you improve them, and basically set new goals for the new year as well. That's also important, right? So based on the data that you do have with how it's been performing in the current year, you set your strategies for the next year. All right, and then the third that we discussed was client relationships. How do you review them? How do you improve them? And how do you make sure that their needs are being met? And how can you better meet their needs? So on and so forth. So that comes under client relationships. Then we talked about efficiency evaluation, where you're not just focusing on the processes and the systems, you're also looking into topics like time management, productivity, your return on investment, and just see how you can make things better. How can you make them more efficient? Then the fifth thing that we talked about was assessing personal and professional development. What have you done really well this year in both of those aspects? And what did you need to improve on? What can you focus on in the future? So on and so forth. Which aspect of your business needs what particular personal/professional skill of yours? Or which areas do you need to develop on? Which areas do you need to focus on so that the health of your business becomes better in the coming year? All of that would come under assessing your personal and professional development. And of course, we have the sixth thing, which is your accomplishments and challenges. So taking the time to look at what you've accomplished this year, what you've achieved this year, as well as the challenges that you have overcome, challenges that you could not overcome, figuring out what you could tweak, what you could focus on for the next year, how you want to attack it or tackle it for the next year, so on and so forth. For me, what I believe the year-end review to be is a comprehensive understanding of the health of that business for that particular year, and how you can improve it for the next year. Use the data that you have this year to improve the health of your business for the next year, to make sure that it keeps growing stronger and stronger. Because what I truly believe is your business's health, it's not going to magically change day one of it, right? But at the same time, the health of your business is based on every single day's work and you showing up. And so whatever you are seeing at the end of the year, the entire 365 days, all of it contributes to your business's health. And so for me, understanding that relation, understanding the importance of the year-end review and how it correlates to my business's health is very, very key. And I guess that's what motivates me to do the year-end review, because sometimes you can be like, oh, okay, well, what difference is a year-end review going to do? But no, it actually does. It actually does, because you base your next year's strategies on where you are at right now. And without knowing where you are at right now, how are you going to figure out the strategies? Or even the strategies that you do come up with, they're not going to be as informed as the strategies you come up with based on knowing whatever it is that you are going through, whatever is the current health of your business, what are the factors affecting your business at this moment in time, or how your business reacts to something or the other in your marketing, in your business, in your sales, so on and so forth. So for me, all of it is it helps you have informed decisions. It helps you set proper goals, because again, I really think knowledge is power. Data especially is power. The more data you have, the more you can analyze that data, the more it helps you understand that, okay, well, these things don't work for my business, but this does. And so I'm going to continue this way, or these steps, these strategies don't align with my business because previous data has shown me that it doesn't work out, but this other set of strategies do work out for my business. So I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to continue with that, so on and so forth. Just understanding the strengths, the weaknesses that your business has, just understanding that is also absolute key in making sure that you can strengthen the health of your business. And of course, when it comes to goal setting as well, especially when it comes to goal setting, understanding where you are at is important for you to set realistic goals for the future. And lastly, what I do want to say is it might take you a little bit of time for you to do a year-end review, but I highly recommend it. I really think that it is going to be worth the time. Yes, sometimes you might feel a bit dejected that, okay, well, this didn't work out for my business, or I didn't hit these goals. But the way that I see it, this is just you collecting information so that you can do better the next time or the next year. You can figure out, based on where you are at, what next steps that you should take, how you can improve it, what you could do differently, or how can you work to the advantages that your business has, so on and so forth. So the way that I look at it, yes, sometimes it's going to sting a bit given how emotionally invested we are with respect to our business. And yeah, I know that. And there's always going to be like a part of us that might dread the year-end review because of the results that we might see, the results that we may not be happy about. But at the same time, when you think of it as just information that you need so that you can keep getting better, so that you can make your business better, then I think that helps you view it in a way that is worth it. All right. So yeah, basically just to wrap up this entire podeo, when it comes to understanding your business, yeah, the more you dig into what makes it tick, the more you can position yourself for success. That's how I want to end this, all right? So yeah, basically, other than that, this is me wrapping up the podeo. I've got 2 books at the moment on Amazon. My first book is 0 to 4 Figures, Lessons Learned by a Broke CEO. It's got 61 stories and lessons on my first 3 years of digital entrepreneurship journey. It covers topics like self-love, relationships, positive mindset, success mindset, growth mindset. I'm finding it very difficult to talk today. I don't know why. Anyway, must be something going on with me. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying? And then there's business strategy and marketing as well. And then the second book is Self-Loved. It is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts that cater to healing, growth, and self-discovery. Other than that, I have a bunch of productivity planners, journals, and trackers. They're called the Simple Series by The Marketing Nomad. They are also available on Amazon. At the time of publishing this podeo, there are 18 of them available. Now, the simplest way to find all of my stuff, like my books and my planners, my journals, my trackers on Amazon, is to search my name. My name is Prithvi Madhukar, Prithvi, space Madhukar. All right, so the minute you search my name on Amazon, you'll get an author page for me, and all of my stuff is just gonna come there. It's just the simplest way. All right, of course, if you want to catch me on another platform, I'm there on Instagram at The Marketing Nomad. Yeah, other than that, that's basically what I did. Yeah, I'm finding it very, very difficult to talk today. I don't know why that is. I must be a bit I must be having some other thought going on, though at the moment there's nothing going on in my mind, but I'm actually physically struggling to talk today. I don't know, it happens sometimes with me, but very, very rarely, and so it's a bit funny for me. I'm probably gonna view this podeo while I'm editing it, and I'm just gonna go like, oh no, what's happened to me? But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to be in a much better flow. Maybe it's the first Ask TMN after a very, very long time. Maybe that's also why. I don't know, but hopefully my second one will go a lot more smoother. But yeah, if you liked this video, do give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a video. Other than that, if you want to leave your thoughts, if you have any questions for me to answer in another episode of Ask TMN, do so in the comment section. Alrighty guys, this is where I will leave you, and I'll catch you in my next podeo. Bye-bye.